Hey, good evening, good evening, good evening, man. I'm so excited to be back before you guys again on the Conversation 9-8 and look forward to the having a discussion today, man. Uh, I know it took off last week and I'm glad that we're back at it this week. But again, man, thank you guys for rocking with your boy. Been going strong for over 2 years now. So I'm just excited about that and just looking forward to having a conversation with you guys tonight. Hope all is well. Everybody getting used to the weather. The weather is changing, and I'm excited about it. I get excited about fall. Looking forward to winter, even though we get a lot of snow up here. But I look forward to it. It's a piece that comes with when you start talking about change, and I like change. Change is good. But again, man, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you're watching from, and hope you guys enjoy this. The same way that I am. And I look forward to the interaction tonight. But we're going to go ahead on and get started, man. Again, this is an interactive show. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And I look forward to, definitely look forward to the dialogue. All right, so man, today's is great. It is great because I'm excited about this. But tonight's show, we're going to talk about the power of learning to embrace and accept the process of fulfilling your purpose, right? Because there's power in learning to accept your purpose in your life and learning to embrace the process of your purpose. Because I think a lot of times when we look at it in our lives, our purpose, identifying your purpose, that's part of your DNA. That's something that you have a passion about, something you have a drive about. And for a lot of people, it's, we try to find our niche, right? But a lot of times our purpose is what we tend to fight against the most. We fight against it. We know deep down inside there's something that's attracting to us and that's pulling us, but we tend to fight against it the most. But there's power in learning to embrace your purpose, because the purpose is part of who you are. And then accepting that process of fulfilling your purpose, because that process of fulfilling your purpose is not an easy task. And it takes some commitment to get to. It takes some commitment to get to. It takes some patience and it takes some understanding, because, when you just look at it, nothing meaningful in life is going to come with ease. Nothing meaningful in life is going to come with these at all. So if our purpose is meaningful, that means that the process of fulfilling your purpose is going to have some challenges in it, because in those challenges and on that journey, in that process, that's why I talk about learn to embrace and accept the process of fulfilling your purpose. It's going to prepare you to walk into those things. It's going to prepare you to be able to have an intimate understanding of everything that's needed, right? And it's going to make your purpose part of your DNA. Kirk Franklin said it before. He said his pain was his preparation for his destiny. And the same thing, some of us, we try to wonder why we going through stuff, why we having to deal with stuff, why did I have to? And we ask ourselves, why me? Why me? But then I want to ask the other question, why not you? Because of those things, now you're able to fully walk into who you are and fulfill a purpose in your life, right? You are fully able to do that. And that's because, right, because of our experiences, because of the things that we've gone through, it really plays a major role. And I know that's hard to accept sometimes, but that's what it is, right? Our experiences, nothing happens by mistake. And I know a lot of times it feels that way. We go through some stuff. Some people that have been through some stuff. Some people that had some hard things happen to them. And if you can look throughout life, some people that had some traumatic things happen to them, some things that they themselves would not have chosen to go through. But because they went through those experiences, now they're able to help other people, and it becomes a part of who they are. And then when they go and they talk to people and help people, they can speak from a place of experience. They can speak from a place of empathy. They can speak from that place because they had went through the process to get to that space. And that process is part of their purpose. And it's hard to get through that because we don't want to choose to go through those hardships. Nobody want to choose to lose a loved one. But when we go through that and God give us the grace to go through it, as we go through it now, we can reach back and help somebody else who's going through what we went through. because that's the reality. That is a reality. And I know that's a hard thing to swallow, but that's the truth of the matter. That right there is the truth of the matter. As I look on it, right, I think about my mom, and my mom had lost her husband, lost both her parents. She lost her mom at a young age. She lost her dad, was a caregiver for her father, lost her husband, was a caregiver for my dad, and recently lost my son. And I was telling her, like, dang, my mom had lost a lot and dealt with a lot of loss for a lot of close loved ones. But now I'm able to see her operate in a space to where she can minister and comfort other people who is losing somebody, right? Because God gave her the grace to go through it. Now, was she chosen to go through that and lose all those people? No. But because she went through that, right, that has prepared her for part of what her purpose is. And her purpose, part of her being who she is, right, now she pours into others and she ministers to others, right, and she loves on others and she can speak a language that they can understand from that experience. And it's a blessing on the other side, but it's not a blessing when you're getting prepared for it. Because nobody will want to choose to lose a loved one. Nobody will want to choose to lose both their parents. Nobody want to choose to lose a spouse. Nobody want to choose to lose a child. Nobody want to choose to go through a traumatic childhood. Nobody want to choose to go through poverty. Nobody want to choose to go through all of these things. People don't want to choose to go through those things, right? But I would tell you, if we sit down and look at it, a lot of that is tied to your purpose. It is tied to your purpose. You know, many of us get so upset about the reality of our pain. We get so upset about the reality of the things that we had to endure. We get so upset about it. And as I look back on it, and we can look at different stories in the Bible, even you can find Joseph was a dreamer, and Joseph was sold into slavery, and Joseph, but even in slavery, he had favor, but that was all part of his preparations for his destiny to be second in command in Egypt. And it was preparing him for that time when the famine came. And many of us, we've had some things happen to us. We've had family members to turn over us. We had hardships to happen to us. But if we look at it as a woe is me, and not look at it as, oh, dang, that was God preparing me, because right now you're able to walk in the purpose, the divine purpose for your life because of those experiences. You're able to walk through those things. You're able to learn from those things. You're able to help and assist other people because those people go. So this is the thing I think a lot of us miss out. Right? Never underestimate the power of God's grace and the purpose of God's grace for your life. So many times we forget that God's grace is. We think God's grace is just for us. We think that the grace of God is just to benefit us when we are going through a certain situation. And I couldn't understand that when I went through what I went through at a period of my life where I went through a divorce, at a period of my life where I was depressed and I was having anxiety, and I had to deal with forgiveness and go through the process of forgiving somebody that really, really hurt you. I didn't understand the purpose of God's grace for me. I thought it was just to help me in that moment. Little did I realize was that it was just preparing me to help and to pour into so many other people later on. Because when they go through those things, listen, God's grace is there, right? Because it will equip you to be for others what you wish you had when you was going through those things. It will equip you for that. I'm a witness with that, right? I wish, as I think back on it, right? One of the things I think back on is talking about God's. One of the things I think about is understanding that my preparations for my purpose. And I realized, right, and it took a while to kind of understand what is my purpose, right? And a lot of times we try to figure that thing out, right? Your purpose is really tied to what you're passionate about. I'm very passionate about people, passionate about helping people, passionate about pouring into people, right? But I always find myself when I'm passionate about that, right, and helping people, I always find myself in the point to where I feel like I need help. And I have to go through things and try to understand what the heck am I going through? Why am I going through this? Why does it always seem like things are not working in my favor? But as I look back on it and I can take inventory and I look back, all those experiences that I've went through has prepared me to be in a position to pour into others, to help others, to assist others, to fulfill the purpose that God created me to fulfill, even right now. It prepared me for that. And I had to learn to accept it and embrace it. I had to learn to accept it and embrace it because, and it's a truth, but most of the times we would fight against the very thing we know that is aligned to a purpose in our life because we genuinely don't want it. And this is what I'm speaking about it. We be gifted in certain areas. They're gifted, being gifted and talented in certain areas that align with your purpose. We operate in that. But to really submit to or find and walk in your purpose, right? Many of us, we fight that thing. Man, I fought that thing. Man, look, that ain't me. I ain't doing that. And this is what I was telling myself my whole life. Oh, that ain't me. And, you know, the funny thing is, as I think about it, I knew from the beginning that was me. I just didn't want it. And the reason why I didn't want it, I didn't want what I felt like what came with it. And many of us, we struggle with accepting our purpose because we fight against what we feel like going to come with it and to come with that assignment because we see the cost of our purpose. And we see the cost of our purpose, but we don't want to walk in it. We see the cost of our purpose. And listen, that's a natural thing to do. That ain't nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm just telling you that right now. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. That's a natural thing. You know, it is a natural thing because especially this, right? When our purpose is tied to something bigger than us, and we know deep down inside our purpose is tied to something bigger than us, it really frustrates us. It really frustrates us. It frustrates us because we know that we are inadequate and we know that we're not worthy to walk in that purpose. So because of that feeling of not feeling worthy, right, we a lot of times will either try to self-sabotage that or we try to run from it, right? And when we get to a space of learning the power of learning to embrace and accept it, when we learn to embrace and accept it, that's when we embrace the fullness of our imperfections. And then that's what makes our purpose so powerful because it's not done in our own strength. It's done in we know it was a divine strength to enable us to do what we need to do. Then that's a powerful thing because we are connected to the source and we know that it's not coming from us. But when we are connected to the source and we know it's not coming from us, it is scary. It is very scary. It's scary because we don't know what the outcome is. And we try to connect to that feeling like that sense of that we're in control. And we like to feel like we're in control. But that's not the case. And what I've learned is, like, listen, the best thing that I do, and I've watched this, like we can all have plans. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with having a plan. There's nothing wrong with having a vision. There's nothing wrong with writing out what you want. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with communicating your desires. Nothing is wrong with that, right? But what I've learned is when I've just stopped trying to control things myself and I submit to what God was having for me and the direction that he did for me, I found my life to be a lot easier, a lot more easier to navigate. I found out that my purpose has been tied to the divine instructions of God. They said that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. So if I put my trust in God and just follow God's lead, what I found out over my life is that everything that I needed to take me to the next level in my purpose has always been divinely orchestrated because I followed the lead of God in my life. I followed the lead of God in my life. And by following the lead of God in my life in those areas, right, I've realized that I was able to fulfill a purpose. But watch this. This is the thing that is so profound. Just because we are fulfilling a purpose in one area in our life, that doesn't mean that we don't struggle in other areas. That doesn't mean that we don't struggle. That doesn't mean that we don't have things that we got to improve on. And so I don't want us to feel like that just because I may struggle in one area that I can't be fulfilling the purpose of my life in another area. That's the humanity aspect of who we are as people. We don't, nobody have it together, right? Nobody has it together. Understand that. So don't go around beating yourself up because you're trying to feel like, dang, well, I'm not aligning to this, and all of these areas in my life got to be perfect before I'm able to walk in my purpose. No, walk in the purpose, right? Walk in what you know. Walk in your purpose, and stop judging yourself based off of what you feel like you should be, based off of judging yourself off of somebody else, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what they're overcoming. You don't know what their challenges are. Just thank God and walk in your purpose. That's all you got to do. Thank God and walk in your purpose, because there's so much power in learning to embrace. Just embrace it. Don't fight it. You know, your purpose is part of who you are. Your purpose is part of who you are. Your purpose is part of your DNA. Your purpose is part of the very fabric of your being. It's tied to that. And I know it's hard for some of us to see it because we don't see ourselves in your purpose. And watch this. Your purpose don't mean you got to be out front. Your purpose don't mean that you got to be in the spotlight. That doesn't, and a lot of people feel like just because your purpose may not be out front or in the spotlight, right, then that is, your purpose is not the same level. No. Your purpose is what you were designed and destined to do, that God created you like nobody else he created has ever existed to do what God created you to do. So just walk in it, embrace it, learn from other people, but don't sell yourself short. Stop selling yourself short because you're comparing yourself to other people. Because some people are just doing stuff. That don't mean that they're walking in their purpose. You walk in your purpose, walk boldly in your purpose, walk confident in your purpose, because you was created to fulfill your purpose. You was created to fulfill it. We all have our own individual. We were all created to fulfill the purpose that God has in our lives. And it's hard to try to figure that out. But you know what your purpose is. Some of us, our purpose, listen, some of us, our purpose are tied to being a teacher or loving on people. Some of us have the gift of love. My grandmother had the gift of love, but you were just around her, you felt that. Some of us, we are organizers, right? We're real good at getting things organized. Some of us, our purpose is in bringing people together. Some of us, our purpose is uplifting others, pouring into others. Some of us, our purpose is to minister through different things, song, through love, through healing. Some of us have healing hands. Some of us, our purpose are tied to so many different things, right? Walk in that purpose. Walk with what you know you are gifted and created to do. Don't worry about anybody else. Walk in what you know you were to do, right? Because that's where, when you walk in your purpose, when you operate in your purpose, that's where you find a sense of peace and a sense of fulfillment like no other space, like no other space. When you walk in your purpose, man, I would tell you, when you walk in your purpose, it's like, boom, that's your element. Nobody can take you out your element. You own it. You pop it. You good. You got it going on, right? And then don't sit there and measure what you're doing based off of somebody else. Don't do that, because you don't know what they probably went through. Like I was a little bit intimidated about starting a podcast and doing what I'm doing now, right? Because I saw some other things, and yeah, that's areas where I can improve on. But guess what? One thing that I've learned is that, hey, you're not going to get better until you get started. And I got started, and then I had people reach out, giving me nuggets and saying different things like that, right? And I'm just learning, and I'm watching, I'm studying, I'm trying to get better. But I'm not trying to be nobody else on here. I'm being me, because can't nobody else outdo me being me. And I'm not even judging myself or trying to compare myself to somebody else. I'm comfortable with walking in the purpose in which God created me to walk in. So my prayer is that you are comfortable in the purpose that God created you to walk in, and that you learn to embrace and accept there's a process to fulfilling your purpose. There is a process, right? The process to fulfilling your purpose is going to have some hardship in it, is going to have some frustration, is going to have some disappointments. You're going to have to deal with some things. You're going to have to go through this 4-letter word called life and deal with some things. And you're going to have to endure some things that you wouldn't have personally chosen to deal with. And the reason why you go through those things is because that's how your purpose is become intertwined with your own DNA. And by becoming intertwined with your DNA, that means that nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can be and operate in your purpose because you were being created and you was being prepared to fulfill the destiny and the purpose in your life. So don't run away from all of those things and don't always say, woe is me. Understand, sometimes God is preparing you for greater. Man, I appreciate you guys for rocking with your boy, for coming on with me tonight. Another episode 154. We've been going strong. Look at that, 3 years strong. We are at 3 years right now. 3 years. And I thought about that. Man, it's been 3 years. So, to God be the glory. I'm just going to keep doing what God tell me to do. And I appreciate your guys' support. I would tell you, go support your boy at my social media outlets, at The Conversation 98 on YouTube, The Conversation 98 on Instagram, at 98 Conversation on Twitter, The Conversation 98 on here, and at The Conversation _98 on TikTok. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a great and blessed day.